Hey guys, welcome to another video about the book of Exodus. My door just opened by the wind. It's like, oh no, it's a ghost. But yeah, we're gonna be reading chapter 12. We're gonna be reading for a little bit, so let's get into it. The institution of the Passover. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, "This month is to be your beginning of the months. It will be your first month of the year. Tell the whole community of Israel, in the 10th day of this month, they each must take a lamb for themselves, according to their families, a lamb for each household. If any household is too small for a lamb, the man and his next door neighbor are to take a lamb according to the number of people. You will make your count for the lamb according to how much each one can eat. Your lamb must be perfect, a male, 1 year old. You may take it from the sheep. Take it from the sheep or from goats. You must care for it until the 14th day of this month. Then the whole community of Israel will kill it around sundown. They will take some of the blood and pour it on two side posts and top of the door frame of the houses where they will eat it. They will eat the meat the same night, and they will eat it roasted over the fire with the bread made without yeast and with bitter herbs. Do not eat it raw or boil it in water, but roast it over the fire with heat. Its legs and its entrails you must leave nothing until morning, but you must burn with fire whatever remains of it until morning. This is how you are to eat it. Dressed to travel, your sandals on your feet and your staff in your hand. You are to eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. I will pass through the land of Egypt, and the same night I will attack all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both humans and of animals, and on all the gods of Egypt. I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. The blood will be sign for you on the houses where you are. So when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and this plague will not fall onto you, destroy you when I attack the land of Egypt. This day will become a memorial for you, and you will celebrate it as a festival to the Lord. You will celebrate it perpetually as a last ordinance for 7 days. You must eat bread made without yeast. Surely on the first day you must put away the yeast from your houses, because anyone who eats bread made with yeast from the first day to the 7th day will be cut off from Israel. Dang, that's crazy. It's like, you better not eat no bread. You ain't coming to the free land. On the first day there will be a holy convocation, and on the 7th day there will be a holy convocation for you. You must do no work of any kind on them, only what every person will eat, that alone may be prepared for you. So you will keep the feast of unleavened bread. I think that's how you say it. Because of this very day I brought your regiments out of the land of Egypt, and so you must keep this day perpetually as lasting ordinance. I know I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry guys. In the first month, from the 14th day of the month in the evening, you will eat bread made without yeast until the 21st day of the month in the evening. For 7 days yeast must not be found in your household, for whoever eats what is made with yeast, that person will be cut off from the community of Israel, whether a foreigner or one born in the land. You will not eat anything made with yeast. In all the places where you live, you must eat bread made without yeast. Dang. don't eat yeast, I guess. Then Moses summoned all the elders of Israel and told them, go and select for yourselves a lamb or a young goat for your families to kill the Passover animals. Take a branch of hyssop? I don't know. You guys tell me how to say that down in the comments. Dip it in blood that is in the basin and apply it to the top of the door frames and the two side posts. Some of the blood that is in the basin. Not one of you is to go out the door of his house until morning, for the Lord will pass through to strike Egypt. And when he sees the blood on the top of the door frame and the two side posts, then the Lord will pass over the door. Then he will not permit the destroyer to enter your houses to strike you. You must observe this event as an ordinance for you and for your children forever. Dang, that's crazy. You gotta kill this animal, and then go get a branch of something, mark down your house so you don't lose anyone in your house. That's crazy. When you enter the land that the Lord will give to you, just as he said, you must observe this ceremony. When your children ask you, what does this ceremony mean to you, then you will say, this is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover. When he passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt, when he struck the Egyptians and delivered our households, the people bowed down low to the ground, and the Israelites went away and did exactly as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. Okay, deliverance from Egypt. It happened at midnight. The Lord attacked all the firstborns in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of the Pharaoh who sat on his throne to the firstborn of the captive who was in prison, and all the firstborn of cattle. Pharaoh got up in the night along with all his servants and all the Egypt, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was no house in which there was not someone dead. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron in the night and said, get up, get out from among my people, both you and the Israelites. Go serve the Lord as you have requested. Also take your flocks and your herds, just as you have requested, and leave. But bless me also. The Egyptians were urging, I guess, the people on in order to send them out of the land quickly, for they were saying, we are all dead. So the people took their dough before the yeast was added, with their kneading throws bound up in their clothing on their shoulders. Now the Israelites had done as Moses told, and they had requested from the Egyptians silver and gold items and clothing. The Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians and gave them whatever they wanted, and so they plundered Egypt. The Israelites journeyed from Ramses to Succoth. There were about 600,000 men on foot, plus their dependents. A mixed multitude also went up with them. In the flocks and the herds, a very large number of cattle. They baked cakes of bread without yeast, using dough they had brought from Egypt. For it was made without yeast, because they were thrust out of Egypt and were not able to delay. They could not prepare food for themselves either. Now the length of the time the Israelites lived in Egypt was 430 years. A long time, guys. 430 years. I live in America and we haven't been that long. What? We've been almost 300 years. Get in there. At the end of the 430 years, on the very day all regiments of the Lord went out of the land of Egypt, and it was a night of vigil for the Lord to bring them out the land of Egypt. And so on this night all Israel is to keep the vigil to the Lord of generations to come. Dang. Participation in the Passover. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of Passover. No foreigner may... Sorry guys, got a little burp there. No foreigner may share in eating it, but everyone's servants who who is brought for money after you have circumcised him may eat it. As for a foreigner and a hired worker must not eat it. It must be eaten in one house. You must not bring any of the meat outside the house, and you must not break a bone of it. The whole community of Israel must observe this. Dang. When a foreigner lives with you and he wants to observe Passover to the Lord, all his males must be circumcised, and then he may approach and observe it, and he will be like one who is born in the land. But no circumcised person may eat of it. The same law will apply to the person who is native born and to the foreigner who lives among you. So all the Israelites did exactly as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, and on the very day the Lord brought the Israelites out of the land of Egypt by their regiment. Okay, Law of the Firstborn, chapter 13, guys. We're going to try and get to 14. Maybe 15 if we can. The Lord spoke to Moses, set apart to me every firstborn male, the first offspring of every womb among the Israelites, whether human or animal, it is mine. Moses said to the people, remember this day on which you came out of Egypt from the place where you were enslaved, for the Lord brought you out of there with a mighty hand, and no bread made with yeast may be eaten. On this day in the month of Abib, you are going out, when the Lord brings you to the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, Hivitites, and the Jebusites, which he swore to your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey. Then you will keep this ceremony in this month. For 7 days you must eat bread made without yeast, and on the 7th day there is to be a festival to the Lord. The bread made without yeast must be eaten for 7 days. No bread made with yeast shall be seen among you, and you must have no yeast among you within any of your borders. You are to tell your son on that day, it is because of what the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt. It will be a sign for you on your hand and a memorial on your forehead, so that the law of the Lord may be in your mouth. Sorry. For with a mighty hand the Lord brought you out of Egypt. So you must keep this ordinance as its appointed time from year to year. Man, that's crazy. When the Lord brings you into the land of Canaanites, as he swore to you and to your fathers, and gives it to you, then you must give order to the Lord, the first offspring of every womb, every firstling of a beast that you have, the males will be the Lord's. Every firstling of a donkey you must redeem with a lamb. If you do not redeem it, then you must break its neck. Dang. Every firstborn of your sons you must redeem. In the future, when your sons ask you, what is this? You are to tell them, with a mighty hand the Lord brought us out of Egypt from the land of slavery. When Pharaoh stubbornly refused to release us, the Lord killed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from firstborn of people to the firstborn of animals. That is why I am sacrificing to the Lord the first male offspring of every womb. But all my firstborn sons I redeem. It must be for a sign of your hand and for the frontlets of your foreheads, for with a mighty hand the Lord brought us out of Egypt. Leading of God. When Pharaoh released the people, God did not lead them by the way to the land of the Philistines, although that was nearby, for God said, lest the people changed their minds and returned to Egypt when they experienced war. So God brought the people around by the way of desert to the Red Sea. And the Israelites went up from the land of Egypt and prepared for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the Israelites solemnly swear, God will surely attend to you, and will carry my bones up from this place with you. They journeyed from Succoth and camped in Etham on the edge of the desert. Now the Lord was going before them by a day in a pillar of cloud to lead them in the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light so they could travel day or night. He did not remove the pillar of cloud by day nor the pillar of fire by night from before the people. The victory at the Red Sea. Chapter 14, guys. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Tell the Israelites that they must turn and camp before the Pi-Halath, or Pi-Harithoth. I think that's the best I can say it. Between the Migdal and the sea. You are to camp by the sea before Baal Zephon, opposites. Pharaoh will think regarding the Israelites, they are wandering around confused in the land, and the desert has closed in on them. I will harden the Pharaoh's heart, and he will chase after them. I will gain honor because of the Pharaoh and because of all his army. The Egyptians will know, and I am Lord." So this is what they did. Bam, 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 bam. And when it was reported to the king of Egypt that the people had fled, the heart of the Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people, and the king and his servants said, "What in the world have we done? For we have released the people of Israel from serving us." Then he prepared his chariots and took his army with him. He took 600 select chariots and all the rest of the chariots of Egypt, and the officers on all of them. But the Lord hardened the hearts of the Pharaoh's king of Egypt, and he chased after the Israelites. Now Israelites were going out defiantly. Egyptians chased after them, and all the horses and chariots of the Pharaoh and his horsemen and his army overtook them camping by the sea, beside the Pi-Hahiroth, before Baal Zephon. Okay, some of these words are a little hard. When Pharaoh got closer, the Israelites looked up, and there were Egyptians marching after them, and they were terrified. The Israelites cried out to the Lord, and they said to Moses, "Is it because there are no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the desert? What in the world have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Isn't this what we told you in Egypt? I leave us alone so that we can serve the Egyptians, because it's better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert." Moses said to the people, "Do not fear. Stand firm and see the salvation of the Lord that he will provide for us today. For the Egyptians will not see today. You will never ever see them again. The Lord will fight for you, and you can still be." Ooh, you got some people that don't believe in God. Ooh, that's not cool. The Lord said to Moses, "Why do you cry out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. And as for you, lift up your staff and extend your hand toward the sea and divide it, so the Israelites may go through the middle of the sea on dry ground. As for me, I am going to harden the hearts of the Egyptians so that they will come after them, and that I may be honored because of the Pharaoh and his army and the chariots of his horsemen. And the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I have gained my honor because of the Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen." Okay. The angel of God who was going before the camp of Israel moved and went behind them, and the pillar of cloud moved before them and stood behind them. It came between the Egyptian camp and the Israelites' camp. It was a dark cloud. It lit up the night so that one camp did not come near the other. The whole night Moses stretched out his hand toward the sea, and the Lord drove the sea apart by a strong east wind. All that night he made the sea into a dry land, and the water was divided. So the Israelites went through the middle of the sea on dry ground, water forming a wall for them on their right and on their left. The Egyptians chased them, followed them into the middle of the sea. All the horses of Pharaoh's his chariots, and his horsemen. In the morning watch the Lord looked down on the Egyptian army, and through the pillar of fire and cloud he threw the Egyptians' army into panic. He jammed the wheels of their chariots so they had difficult driving, and the Egyptians said, "Let's flee from Israel, for the Lord fights for them against Egypt." Sorry guys, I got dogs behind me. The Lord said to Moses, "Extend your hand toward the sea so that the waters may flow back on the Egyptians." Sorry guys. On their chariots and on their horsemen. So Moses extended his hand toward the sea, and the sea returned to normal state. When the sun began to rise, now the Egyptians were fleeing before it. The Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the middle of the sea. The water returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the army of the Pharaoh that was coming after the Israelites into the sea. Not so much as one of them survived, but the Israelites walked on dry ground in the middle of the sea, water forming a wall from them on their right and on their left. So the Lord saved Israel on that day from the power of the Egyptians. Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the shore of the sea. When Israel saw the great power that the Lord had exercised over the Egyptians, they feared the Lord. They believed in the Lord and in his servant Moses. Well, that's why you don't, get all mad about this. Song of Triumph, chapter 15. I am not going to sing this, but I will read it for you guys. So chapter 15. Moses and the Israelites sang this song to the Lord. They said, "I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and its riders he has thrown into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song, and he has become my salvation. This is my Lord, and I will praise him, my Father God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. Chariots of Pharaoh and his army has thrown into the sea, and his chosen officers were drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They went down to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Lord, was majestic in power. Your right hand, O Lord, shattered the enemies. In abundance of your majesty, you have overthrown those who have risen up against you. You have set forth your wrath. It consumed them like stubble. By the blast of your nostrils, the waters were piled up. The flowing waters stood upright like a heap, and the deep waters were solidified in the heart of sea. The enemy said, "I will chase, I will overtake, I will divide and spoil. My desire will be satisfied on them. I will draw my sword, my hand will destroy them. But you blew with your breath, and the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like you, the majestic in holiness, fearful in praises, working wonders? You stretch out your right hand. The earth swallowed them. By your loyal love you will lead the people whom you have redeemed. You will guide them by your strength to your holy dwelling place. The nation will hear and tremble. Anguish will seize the inhabitants of Philistia. Then the chiefs of Edom will be terrified. Trembling will seize the leaders of Moab. And sorry guys. And the inhabitants of Canaan will shake, and the fear of dread will fall on them. By the greatness of your army, or of your arm, they will be as still as stone. Until your people pass by, O Lord, until the people whom you have brought pass by, you will bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place you made for your residence, O Lord, the sanctuary, O Lord, that your hands have established. The Lord will reign forever and ever. For the horses of Pharaoh came with the chariots and his footmen into the sea, and the Lord brought back the waters of the sea on them. But the Israelites walked on dry land in the middle of the sea. Is that the end of the song? Not too good with singing. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I wasn't gonna sing it for you. Okay. Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a hand drum in her hand, and all the women went out after her with hand drums and would dance. Miriam sang in response to them, "Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and its rider has thrown it into the sea." Okay, bitter water. Then Moses led Israel to the journey away from the Red Sea. They went out to the desert of Shur, walked for 3 days into the desert, and found no water. Then they came to Marah, but they were not able to drink water of because Marah is bitter. This is why it is named Marah. So the people murmured against Moses, saying, "What can we drink?" He cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a tree. When Moses threw it into the water became safe to drink. There the Lord made for them abiding ordinance, and there he tested them. He said, "If you will diligently obey the Lord your God and do what is right in his sight and pay attention to his commandments and keep all his statutes and that's not how you say statutes, is it? Statues? I guess that's how you say statute. I don't know. Then all diseases that I brought on the Egyptians will not bring on you, for I, Lord, I am your healer." Okay. Real hard. Right there. And then they came to Elim, where there were 12 wells of water and 70 palm trees. They camped there by water. Okay, so we're going to stop there, because the next chapter is chapter 16. But we're going to stop there. So basically, it all started with them sacrificing goats or young lambs, and putting, I guess, X's or some type of symbol on their door so that God wouldn't kill anyone or their firstborns in their houses. But the Egyptians didn't know this, so when God brought his deaf guy in, they killed all the Egyptians' firstborn. And so the Egyptians was like, "You know what? Just leave. We don't want guys here anymore." So then Moses and Aaron went out with the Israelites. They took some money with them and some other stuff, but they didn't take anything with yeast. And then they camped out in the desert, but finally God was like, "Okay, I'm gonna send the Egyptians on you, and I'm gonna, make their hearts like stone, so they're just gonna chase you the whole time." And they were chasing. They finally caught up to them. Then God, it was like nighttime, God put like his cloud, like his pillar, in the middle of them, and stopped them from coming, because they were camping like right next to each other. So God was like, "Oh, I'm gonna put my cloud here so they won't chase you." So it gave Moses enough time to put his staff down and split the sea that night, and they could start walking. And then that morning, the cloud went up. The Egyptians started chasing, and like Moses was already like 3/4 with the Israelites through the water, and then the water killed the Egyptians because they were coming in. The Israelites were out on the other side of the desert. Water kills a good chunk of the Egyptians. Only like a few people get away. And then right now they're on the other side. They've traveled a few days. They can't get any water because the place they went to has, I guess, disease-ridden water. So God was like, "Here, take this and you'll get clean water." And Moses was like, "Okay." So now we'll get into the next part. From what I'm getting at, Moses might not do what God says. But hey, we'll learn in the next chapter. But thank you for watching, guys. Please leave a like down below. Leave comments down below about things I'm saying, because I know I'm butchering some of the names. And please subscribe to my channel for new videos, and please share with your friends so they can always get the new videos too. And yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Bye.